Greetings again, TropeTube. I'm Christopher John Maple, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of The Tropening. We're going to be starting off today's episode with the trope King Incognito. This trope is in use when a person of great importance or fame obfuscates or does not reveal their identity to appear as someone common or inconsequential. This is the trope that the film Coming to America is based around. Prince Akeem travels to New York City to pose as a blue-collar college student in order to find someone who will love him without knowing of his royalty. Also, when Luke meets Yoda in the film The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda does not let on about his identity and offers to take Luke to find Yoda. Next up, we have the Southern Fried Genius. This trope takes the stereotype of the idiotic redneck and flips it on its head. The character displaying this trope will be incredibly intelligent and verbose, while retaining a thick Southern drawl and using characteristically Southern idioms. I feel Eugene from the TV show The Walking Dead fits this trope perfectly, especially early on in his appearances while he's still claiming to be an important scientist. He also gets some extra points for having a mullet. Also, the villain The Gambler from the TV show Stargirl. He presents as a folksy Southern gentleman while being a criminal mastermind and an expert computer hacker. And moving along, we have our next trope, Instantly Proven Wrong. This trope is in use when someone makes a statement, frequently a blatant lie, and an event immediately occurs that shows the statement to be untrue. This is typically used for comedic effect. A recent use of this trope occurs in the movie Deadpool. After Deadpool slaughtered a large number of people on an overpass, he's confronted by Colossus. To justify his actions, Deadpool claims, "Hey, no one's getting hurt." A dead body promptly falls from the overpass. Deadpool then says, "It was already there when I got here." A personal favorite use of this trope for me comes from the film The Princess Bride. While discussing the dangers of the fire swamp, Buttercup asks Wesley, "What about the ROUSs?" Wesley responds, "Rodents of unusual size? I don't believe they exist," and is instantly attacked by a giant rat. Possibly the most classic example of this trope comes from the film Casablanca. Captain Renault enters Rick's cafe and orders it to be shut down until further notice. Rick asks on what grounds. Renault says, "I am shocked to find gambling going on in this establishment." A worker then approaches with a large stack of bills and says to Renault, "Here are your winnings, sir." Renault takes them, says thank you, and then orders everybody out. Next up, we have Misery Builds Character. This trope is in use when a character goes through a great hardship and becomes a better person from it. A great example of this is Ace Rimmer from Red Dwarf. Ace is an alternate universe version of Arnold Rimmer, who is a cowardly, foolish, and incredibly inept individual, whereas Ace is a brave action hero, beloved by all. It is later revealed that the key divergence in their life was that Ace had been held back in school, and that humiliation had inspired him to be a better man. A better-known example comes from Game of Thrones. Jaime Lannister, from a wealthy, influential family, has his hand cut off by mercenaries. This great loss causes him to become more introspective and a kinder person overall. And our final trope today will be lampshade hanging, also known as lampshading or hanging a lantern on it. This trope is used to highlight unlikely plot developments or the blatant use of a trope that threatens willing suspension of disbelief. By calling it out, it both assures the audience that the writer is aware of the implausibility of the occurrence, and can also add realism by pointing out that the characters involved are aware that something implausible has occurred. A great example of this can be found on the show Firefly. Wash and Zoe are discussing the possibility of River having psychic powers. Wash dismisses this as something out of science fiction. Zoe then reminds him that they live on a spaceship. The show Friends plays with this trope a little bit. In the first season of the show, Ross is about to spill his feelings for Rachel when an ex of hers barges in the door professing his continued love for her. Ross then exclaims, "Okay, we have to start locking that door now." The door always being unlocked, unlikely in New York City, is frequently lampshaded as a running gag from then on. Going back to Game of Thrones, in the 3rd season the character Gendry is sent away on a rowboat and is not addressed for 4 seasons. When he returns, Davos comments that he thought that he might still be rowing, both a lampshade hanging and a nod to the fan base who had been making similar jokes for years. Well folks, that's all I have for today. Please like and subscribe to see more of my content in the future, and if you have any tropes you'd like me to go into, please leave them in the comments, and stay tuned next week for a special guest. Folks, have a great day. Goodbye.